Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. Today we have 3 stories for you. Revenge on a coworker. Second story is a wedding story, and juicy one at the end. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here, and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. You're going to hurt yourself. I've been working in live entertainment for a number of years and for a variety of companies, some dealing with the smaller end of the business, others at the very top. This particular incident took place getting ready for a largish wedding that had lots of decorative tat involved, because nothing says happily ever after like giant LED letters and fairy lights bright enough to cause skin cancer. For context, the base plates I refer to aren't heavy on their own, 8 to 12 kilograms, can't remember exactly how much. I'll be me and my employer, FM, effing moron. FM. OP, load up all the base plates onto that sack trolley. I'm going to wheel them all onto the ramp together to speed things up. Me. They're next to the door and the van's 2 feet away. It'd be easier to lift them in, surely, and the ramp's at a very steep angle. Why are you questioning this? I just told you what I want you to do. Me. Loads up 60 kilograms solid steel. There you go. Don't put your back out. FM then proceeds to push the sack trolley up a 45-degree angle on his own, bent over. Funnily enough, he got a quarter of the way up the ramp and cried out in pain, having just put his back out. I wish I could put a smile on my face, but it was the very beginning of the day, and it meant that myself and another guy who was working with us had to do the job between the two of us, whilst FM lay on his back trying to get a hold of anyone that would bring him painkillers. And our second story. You only get paid for 37.5 hours work. Okay, I'll only stay for that long. So I worked as an executive pastry chef for a medium-sized hotel here in England, where we catered mainly to weddings on weekends, but had a successful restaurant that ran alongside it, doing 2/3 rosette quality food, about 60 covers a night. Well, as anyone who's worked in catering may know, it's not uncommon to work a tremendous amount of hours in a week on a consistent basis. Here, I was working about 75 to 80-ish hours a week, 5 days a week, about 14 to 15 hours, then an extra 5 or 6 or so on my day off. Now, it's important to know that we did not get paid for overtime here as chefs. You worked all these hours and you got paid for 37.5 hours. That's 40 hours where they took 30 minutes off for 5 days for a lunch break that you never ever had. You do all this and life sucks doing it. But it's a job, and it's not easy in catering at the best of times. So the straw that broke the camel's back comes when I got pulled by the finance manager because I left on one of those days after 5 hours. You see, they ran their weeks Thursday through Wednesday for pay and rota, etc. I left on a Thursday to go look after a family member on my day off that I'd already gone into work to help out on. But because it was Thursday and the start of the week, I hadn't done enough hours in that week to justify leaving early. My explaining that it was 1, my day off really, 2, I had worked 45 hours between Monday through Friday, and 3, I didn't get paid for any extra work didn't seem to help. They got annoyed and said, you get paid for 37.5 hours, no more. If you can't do your work in that time, then that's your problem, but you get paid no extra. Well, that played right into my hands. See, I mentioned above they had weddings on weekends and a busy restaurant that we used to have to service at the same time. If that sounds stupid and almost impossible, that's because it was. Well, the Saturday the following week was a big weekend for them. Bank holiday, big wedding, full restaurant, etc. So me and 2 of the other chefs decided we would work the 37.5 paid hours, then leave. So we worked Thursday and Friday, racking up 31 paid hours there. Then Saturday we had the full day shift, breakfast through till close. So we started at 6 a.m. and then 2 p.m. rolls around. Well, that's our 8 paid hours. So we left. We just simply downed tools, got changed, and walked out. Left the kitchen as it was, left the food prep where it was, didn't finish prepping for the night. We did nothing. 5 minutes later, I get a very angry call from the general manager who wanted me back there immediately to work the shift and finish the wedding, etc., or they couldn't do it without me. I politely explained I was told to only work my 37.5 hours or it wasn't my issue. So that's what I did. The night was a disaster by all accounts, and it cost the company thousands in compensation to the wedding party and in lost revenue from the restaurant, never mind the reputational damage. Didn't go back into work until the following Thursday, when my weekly hours started again. I got to keep my job. Not easy to replace a pastry chef of my skill who ran the kitchen for them most of the time. One of the others got sacked as he was easily replaced, and the other got his hours cut until he quit. Catering is not a nice place to work. They are real B-turds. Ultimately, I left about 6 months later. I got fed up working for free as it had just gone back to normal, left being owed about 20,000 pounds of overtime that I never got. Company went bankrupt dodgingly and destroyed all evidence of hours worked, employment records, etc., so we got screwed. The same guy rebought the hotel under a new name, etc., so it's all very shady. And our last story. How to get rid of a homeowners association, HOA. A good friend of mine about 4 years ago inherited a house from his grandparents. He decided to live there for the time being till he decided what to do with the house. He grew up in it, so he didn't really want to sell it. Not even a week after he moved in, he got a visit from a neighborhood committee. They said they are the 3 board members of the HOA and are here so he can sign his membership papers. They were extremely nosy and rude. For example, one tried to get into the garage without so much as asking. When he stopped him and asked him where he wanted to go, he had the audacity to say, "I need to check your garage. If everything there is in order, I have a right to do this bi-weekly, and denying me access is an offense that will cost a fine." He then had enough of the audacity and kicked them out of the house. While doing so, one of the board members shoved some papers into his face and told him he needed to sign this right now. He would live there a week already, and his papers had to be signed before moving in. Once they were gone, he took a look at the papers. They were effing ridiculous and gave the HOA rights that were simply un-effing real. They had, for example, a right to visit your home bi-weekly and check things like that you do not use the garage for storage, don't have gasoline on containers in your garage. Same goes for gas. You had to mow your lawn every week. Snow had to be shoveled every 2 hours when it snowed, starting at 5 o'clock in the morning. You could not park more than 1 car on your grounds, except inside the garage, and a ton of other bullcrap. A few days later, they came back and asked him why he did not sign the papers yet. They also wanted to check the garage again. This time, he would not even let them in. He told them he would never become a member of their stupid club. To them, that meant war. Within a week, they sent him fines north of $1,000, several of which were for denying them access to his home, each worth $250. My friend simply did not take them serious and used their stupid letters to help fire his grill. Then came the day where they went extremely too far. He came back and one of the board members had broken into his garage, stood in it, and was writing things down on his notepad. But that was not even the worst part. He had 2 wonderful oak trees in front of the house. They had been planted by his great-grandparents when they were newlyweds and moved into the house. The HOA was in the process of taking them down. They had called a professional crew for this one. One was already so damaged, basically all twigs were already down. It was just a stump that was left. The other one they had just started with. He effing lost it. He told the tree crew to stop right the F now and explained to them he was the owner and what they did was highly illegal. They had no idea, since the board member claimed these trees were in violation of the rules, since supposedly too many leaves went to the neighbor's garden. He told them that there was no legal reason to put them down, but the board member claimed I had given my okay because the trees were in violation of rules of the HOA. He looked it up later. They actually had a bylaw that if a garden produces more than 1 40-liter sack of leaves within 2 weeks, the garden owner needs to take down the offending trees within 2 weeks. He told them he would overlook them trespassing if they would be witnesses in court for him. Then he called the cops on the board members for trespassing, breaking and entering. They actually had used a bolt cutter to get into the garage. He'd always closed it with a big effing bike lock after they'd tried to get in twice before. The process must have been glorious. Not only did they have to repay him for the lock and the tree, which was worth a crap ton of money, north of $50,000 if I remember right, plus damages for the second tree. He had a professional tree person look after it, so all the damage healed properly, which alone cost over $1,000. But these idiots actually thought the trial would have been unfair and tried to fight it, which probably cost them an additional $10,000 to $15,000 in lawyer and court costs. All in all, this trial must have cost them over $120,000. Then he went to yet another civil court and sued them for emotional damage. He told them how much these trees meant to him since his great-grandparents had planted them with seeds from the home country. He really laid it on as thick as he could. Plus, he felt threatened by the HOA and can hardly sleep because he always fears they'll try to get into his house. The court actually bought it and gave him $500,000 plus the cost for a state-of-the-art alarm system so he can feel safe again in his own home. So put it all together, he cost the HOA nearly $750,000. They had to file for bankruptcy and get a person to check the books so my friend would get his money. The best is for last. The mediator found out that these three jerks had been defrauding the HOA for well over 10 years and were giving out as many fines as they possibly could so they could use it to bolster their income. All three had to sell their houses so they could pay out my friend. Now he's, for most people, one of the favorite people living there, and he constantly gets invited over for grilling and whatnot. You see, most people never wanted the HOA in the first place, but the board members practically forced them to sign the contract, claiming it would not be optional, and if they did not sign before moving in, it would be a $500 fine. Only 6 of the over 50 members actually wanted this HOA. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.